Hello and welcome to the Vibrant Systems YouTube channel. My name is Danielle and my mission is to help people deepen their connection to self, to others, and to the environment. And I was going to stream this video live, but I didn't realize I had to request that ability 24 hours in advance. So we're recording it because I have some things that I want to say. And I think if I wait 24 hours, I'm just not going to remember them the way that I know they exist right now. In my business and life and in general, I have witnessed a tension between my desire to just be versus the urge I have to do. And this tension that exists between being and doing was generated by this perception of these two things as total opposites. And you might already know where I'm going with this, but they are not actually opposite at all. The act of doing something, if we want to do with clarity, if we want to do with presence, with meaning, with potency, we have to learn how to be present while doing. Likewise, we can often fall into the habit of doing things as a way to actually avoid being present in our lives. I've found myself doing this a lot recently when the end of the day would come. I had a long day of work where I felt really good about the energy I was bringing into the space, the things I was creating, the articles, the YouTube videos, the free guidebooks, all of which you can access through my website, vibrantsystems.ca. I would feel really good about that. And I would make a point of meditating throughout the day. I would make a point of maybe doing a yoga flow at some point or going for a walk. And I would feel so good about that until I sat down in my living room watching TV and start scrolling mindlessly on my phone. Because what I see now is there was this urge I had to always be doing something because I was scared of just being present in the moment, being there for maybe the discomfort of not doing anything. And so I would use my phone to do something, to scroll, to engage, to consume. But it was very passive and numbing. It wasn't ever done mindfully. And I really needed to be honest with myself about why I was falling back on this habit. What was I actually scared of when it came to being? What I've actually come to realize, though, is that being is almost the foundational state on which our entire life experience can transform. So if being is one state, this mindlessness is the other. And in that, being present, being mindful, being aware, just being, existing in my body with full intention is a very different state to exist in because it requires us to be accountable to the discomforts that we find ourselves in. If we feel the discomfort of sitting for too long in the evenings, which I know I do, we are accountable towards making the change or incorporating more movement in order to change that discomfort. If we're uncomfortable with what we're consuming on TV or on our phones, we are accountable for choosing to consume something else. when we are focused on being, we're taking a very active role in the creation of our life. And yes, sometimes we're still going to have to sit with discomfort and just let it exist too. But again, the biggest part of it is when we're actively choosing to mindfully exist in our bodies, in our life, in our circumstances. We're not numbing out the things that sometimes we would rather avoid and therefore avoid changing. I also have come to see how being present for me is very different, because I have associated doing with this ability to control the circumstances around me. I held on to the belief that if I was constantly doing something, then I was creating my reality, that I was in control. And that's just not the truth, right? We're never fully in control. We can control ourselves and our choices, but even those are limited by our circumstances and our energy levels and things like that. And when we shift to being, honest in our present moment about what we're capable of and what is necessary for us, when we're beholden to the needs of our physical body, as well as our emotional body and our mental body and our spiritual body, we cannot necessarily be in control of everything. And in the context of my business, because I have come to see that this is very connected to my urge to keep on doing, there's a lot of unknowns right now. I have launched the video course, Elements of Self, which, if you are new to this channel, it is a self-development course, personal development course that's really focused on using the 4 elements as a foundational framework for reconnecting to authenticity. I know it's transformative because they're the same lessons that I use to transform my life. I launched that, and that was a huge undertaking for me. And while I was in the process of doing to get it ready, to get it posted, to get it available for sale, I was happy. I was great. And now it's up. And now I'm called to be present and be aware and to sit in mindfulness of the, but what if nobody buys it? What if I put all this work into creating this thing that I do truly believe is transformational and can help so many people, but I have to sit with the uncertainty and the unknown of maybe people won't see that value right away. And that is a very uncomfortable place for me to be. But it is exactly that being that I've been called towards. This is the same feeling, because as I've come aware of this, I've also been like, okay, but what else can I do? How else can I move? What else can I create so that I'm not just being? And I've been creating. I've also scheduled and have available for registration my events, Elements of Connection, which I do believe are truly valuable opportunities for people to engage and to co-create a sacred space to allow us to integrate some of the collective shadows that tend to weigh us down. I think that is going to be a fantastic event. But in this in-between space, while I'm waiting for people to register, there is discomfort of being, of the unknown. And yet, this is the discomfort that I am called to honor at this time, in this moment. And I have been very firmly reminded that even in what I create with my videos for YouTube, even what I create for my social media, I need to do that with presence and being and groundedness in my body. Otherwise, it's just another way to try and escape the discomfort of the unknown. So this is my very conscious attempt to try and settle into this discomfort and this uncertainty for a little bit. When I was planning on recording this video, I wanted it to be live, so I also had the opportunity to play with the concept of being perceived while just trying to be. Instead, I get to do a little monologue to myself, which is also fun and fine, and I hope that people still find the value of this. I think a big part of the tension, though, between the being and the doing, and this perception, or at least the way I used to perceive them as being opposites, what I've learned about that, because like I said, they're not actually opposites. The opposite of being is not being. The opposite of mindfulness is mindlessness. The opposite of doing isn't necessarily being present, but it's not acting at all, right? And when I perceived being and doing as opposites, I was really struggling to find balance between those two forces in my life. Because sometimes I slip a little bit into the literal thinking, and I thought to be balanced in those energies meant my days had to be split equally between the being and the doing, and that just wasn't sustainable, of course. But for them to layer on top of each other, for the being present to be the foundation on which the doing happens and that the action is based in clarity, is a very different energy to move from. And I'm only just starting to integrate this awareness into my body and into my being. And I know it's probably going to take time before I really feel like I truly am a natural in this way. It's going to take conscious awareness and a desire to integrate this into my habits and just my very being, into how I live my life. But videos like this are a wonderful opportunity because they ask me to be really mindful and present with my words and how I communicate. They give me the opportunity to pause and to breathe and remind me why I do the things I do, why I create the content I create. Because for a lot of my life, my doing, when I wasn't being, when I was firmly doing, I would also be doing things to copy other people. And as I've started to shift and bring more being into just my general life and awareness, I've realized I cannot copy other people the same way either. I have to be authentic to myself. And that has also been a huge part of the journey that I've been on the past year and a half, is when it's really all been transforming for me. And so there's a lot of great reasons to really focus on this. If you're someone who really believes in working to make space in your days, to have reminders to come back to self, to ground and to connect with your authenticity, with your breath in your body, with your purpose and your fire, I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel now because I am going to start doing lives at least 24 hours from now, probably longer. I want to try and do one at least once a week to really focus on embodying this in my energy, and I want to invite you to join me for that, because there's not a lot of spaces that are available for this kind of practice, or at least if they exist, I've struggled to find them. And so if you're someone who is seeing this video, if it's come across your feed, again, I want to invite you to join me on this journey. And if you are somebody who wants to be a part of this, if you want to throw your general availability down below in the comments, that'll help me know when it's most meaningful to host these. So I think that would actually be so powerful. And I would love to see more people coming and doing work like that. Not work, presence with that, with me. And who's to say where those conversations will grow? Who's to say where they'll go? Who's to say how they'll grow, right? I don't think it's something that can be structured. And even if it's just a space where we breathe together and settle together and practice presence together, it's a space that is going to be beautiful. And I am so excited to co-create that space with you. My name's Danielle. Like I said, I run my company Vibrant Systems, and my mission is to help people deepen their connection to self, to others, and to the environment. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's make your story a vibrant one.